Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. This is Math with Mr. Samuels and Miss Burnell. Make sure that you have the notes and let's go ahead and roll. Okay, today we're talking about scatter plots. And what exactly is a scatter plot? A scatter plot is a graph that shows the relationship between two sets of data. Now, we can have different types of scatter plots that have different types of relationships. We can have a scatter plot with a positive relationship. We can have a scatter plot with a negative relationship, and we can have a scatter plot that has no relationship whatsoever. So as you all can see, one thing I want you to think about is our coordinate plane. Okay, when we had a positive slope, it was always increasing. When we had a negative slope, it was always decreasing. Okay, so you want to try to think about that. If we were to draw a line on this scatter plot, it would have a positive slope. So as a result, this will have a positive relationship. If we were to draw a line on this scatter plot, it would have a negative slope or a negative correlation. So as a result, this one has a negative relationship. Okay, and over here, as you can see, there's no trend any particular direction, so that will just have no type of relationship whatsoever. Okay, so let's look at a couple of more problems down below. It says determine the type of relationship most likely shown by the data. Well, we have the size of a home versus the size of its lot. A lot of you all are probably thinking it just makes logical sense that the bigger the home, the bigger the lot. Well, that's not necessarily true. There are plenty of homes. I've seen plenty of smaller homes that have really large lots. And I've seen plenty of big homes that have really small lots. So that doesn't really have any type of relationship. So we're going to go ahead and say none. If we have the number of passengers on a plane versus the number of suitcases, that will be a positive relationship. Clearly, it makes sense to think that the higher the number of passengers we have, the more luggage that will be on that plane. And last but certainly not least, the number of days into fall versus the number of leaves on the tree. Looks like the closer that will have a negative relationship. Here's why. We know that the deeper and deeper we get into fall, the less amount of leaves that remain on the trees. Okay, so the number of leaves will steadily decrease as the number of days continues. So that's going to be a negative relationship. Excuse me. Now we're going to go ahead and practice drawing our own scatter plot, which we will have to do. Um, and we will also have to analyze our own scatter plot, which we will do down below. So if you look at this particular example, okay, we're plotting the number of hours a student study for a test and the grade that they receive. So it looks like when he or she studied for 3 hours, they got a score at 80%. When they studied for 5 hours, they scored a 90%. When they studied for 2 hours, they got a 45%, so on and so forth. So I went ahead and labeled my X and Y coordinates. My X coordinate was always the independent variable, so the hours, okay, and my Y coordinate is the dependent variable. Well, the grade is my dependent variable, okay. And so something I want to point out to you guys, you want to make sure that you look at the data, see what our largest number is, see what our smallest number is, and be able to make a really good make an educated guess on what you want your x and y coordinates to increase by, how many intervals. So if you want to increase by 2, increase by 5. Sometimes we might have a lot of large spaces, so we might want to increase it by tens like I did on the y-axis. Or sometimes we might have even larger spaces and we might want to increase it by 50. Okay, you'll be able to make that determination based on the numbers, based on the data in the chart that's given to us. Okay, so I went ahead and plotted all these points, and I just want you all to look at this. Okay, does this look like a positive relationship? Does it look like a negative relationship? Does it look like no relationship at all? Well, hopefully you all see, or hopefully you all saw earlier, just a few seconds ago, that this particular data looks like it's steadily increasing. So this is going to be a positive correlation. Okay. The last thing that we will be responsible for is analyzing scatter plots. So let's go ahead and jump down below. Okay. Looks like we will be analyzing a scatter plot that shows a company's stock price since they launched the company in 2016, and how their stock has shown or moved um, in the years to come. Okay, so let's look at it. It says looks like started company opened up in 2016. Stock price was around about 46, 47 dollars per share, and it looks like the company has just steadily decreased. Stock's price has steadily decreased over the years from '06 to 2016. So we are going to go ahead and answer these questions over here based on the scatter plot that we observe. Okay, so what is the approximate stock price in 2015? Well, if I go to 2015, this is 20, so this looks like it's about $22 in stock price. Um, Letter B, what years was the stock price $35 per share? Well, I went ahead and highlighted the $35 per share line so I can figure out which figure out which so I could figure out which years fell up on that line. And as you can see, looks like the year 2010 fell on that line and 2012 fell on that line. And last but certainly not least, we are going to determine whether or not this is a which type of relationship it has. And as you all can see, this company's stock price has steadily declined, steadily decreased. So this is going to be a negative relationship. One last question before I end the video. One last question I want you guys to think about is if we had to make a prediction on where their stock price would fall in 2018, what could be our best educated guess around what parameters or what dollar amount would they fall in the year 2018 or increase to, or where would they be at around 2018? As you all can see, this company's stock has steadily declined or decreased over the years. So we could make a safe guess that their stock price in 2018 would probably fall between $10 and $20 per share. It's going to fall somewhere in that range. Okay. So you guys are going to complete the rest of these problems. So you're going to do number 9, 7, 6, and 5. So that's 5 problems that you all are going to be completing. Please make sure that you complete them, have them ready. We're going to discuss them in class. This is Math with Mr. Samuels and Miss Burnell. Have a great morning, afternoon, evening, whenever you're watching this video. Be great, people.